Hello, everyone, and welcome to Result Report. Today, we are going to be going through our NFL draft grades from the draft that just happened over the weekend. And I'm going to go in order from divisions. So the AFC East, North, South, and West, and then the NFC in order of the team's final finish. And without further ado, let's get started. So to begin with New England, I'm giving them a B+. Look, it's hard to find improvements from a team that just made the Super Bowl. First round, they took Caleb Lomu, a left tackle. That's great for their offensive line, but that's also Will Campbell's position. So maybe they'll move him to right. Maybe they'll move one of the two to right tackles. Maybe one of them will become a guard because Will Campbell didn't really have a good season. Second round, they took an edge, and in the third round, a tight end. But I think this team might take a bit to develop for immediate impact. I don't know if we'll have that much of it. Next, I have the Bills getting an A. They did not have a first round pick. They traded it. So they had the 35th pick, which was edge TJ Parker out of Clemson. So, yeah, I like this pick for their defense. But look, Josh Allen doesn't have any more excuses after this. If they're not good, it's kind of time for him to take some blame. 62, Davison Igbinosun from Ohio State, cornerback. And they traded down to get more late round picks, which I like because they got value with those picks. It wasn't just like, oh, we're going to take a fifth rounder that's going to be bust. No, they got value out of those picks. Next, we have the Dolphins at a B-. They got fleeced by the Cowboys. That never happens. They had the 11th pick, traded down and took offensive tackle Caden Proctor, who has had some running plays with Alabama, and I think that's great for their offensive line, but they missed out on some opportunities like Ruben Bain and Caleb Downs. Great players they could have taken that instead they felt like that was better. With the 27th pick, they took Chris Johnson, a cornerback. 43rd pick, I liked it. Jacob Rodriguez at number 130. I also liked Trey Moore, but that Cowboys trade, negativo. Jets, I'm giving them an A. They had a great draft. Second pick, edge David Bailey. People had them maybe taking him or what's his name? Arvell Reese. And they ended up taking David Bailey. I'm perfectly fine with that. 16th pick, they took a tight end, Kenyon Sadiq, the top tight end out there. They also called him Sadiq the Freak. 30th, wide receiver, Omar Cooper Jr., very athletic. It's the stuff they need for the future. And then with the number 50, cornerback D'Angelo Pons. Now, my concern with him, he's too small. He was a great player in college. I think he'll probably be great in the NFL, but his concern is his height. And why did they take Cade Klubnik at 110? They're obviously not going to try and win. Maybe it's because they're going to start him if somehow Geno Smith ends up doing well. I have no idea. Steelers next at a B+, only because they lost Mekhi Lemon. Like, that was pretty bad for them. They didn't really get a receiver like they wanted. That was, like, good quality and stuff like that. 21st, they took an offensive tackle. 47th, they took wide receiver Jeremy Bernard. And 76th, quarterback Drew Aller, because we have no idea if Aaron Rodgers is coming back. So at least they have something, maybe like Drew Aller, Will Howard. I have no idea what they're going to do if Aaron Rodgers decides not to come back, but he's probably going to delay it. Ravens, I'm giving an A-. They took an offensive lineman at 14th, an edge in Zion Young at 45, and wide receiver Jacoby Lane at 80. I like how they took multiple tight ends on day 3 because who knows how much time Mark Andrews has left. Bengals, I'm going to give them a C because they didn't really do much to their defense in the late rounds. They took, I'm not even going to say the offensive, I'm not even going to say, wait, I was looking at the wrong team. 41st, they took Cassius Howell. Great pick. 72nd, Tacario Davis. That's a great pick. But later, they didn't take anybody. If they're just going to expect Dexter Lawrence to fix everything and maybe these rookies, that's not going to happen. Like, they're not going to get better. They don't even realize, like, what the problem is. They did not, I don't think they had a good late round draft. So that's their problem. Browns, another great draft. I'm giving them an A. 9th, they took an offensive lineman, Spencer Fano. 24th, wide receiver, Casey Concepcion. And 39, another wide receiver, Denzel Boston. The offense should get better. Houston will go after Jacksonville. Jacksonville's getting a B minus because they didn't really do very much. They didn't have much action, which is important. They got a tight end, 56th, so they didn't really do much. Texans next, a B. They got 2 offensive linemen, which should be great for CJ Stroud. And then they got Caden McDonald. Stroud should get protected. This should be great for them. Next, we have the Colts, B+. Only reason they're not at an A level is because they didn't have a first-round pick, and they traded it for Sauce Gardner. 53rd, linebacker C.J. Allen fits the team needs. 78th, safety A.J. Halsey, again, fits the team needs. 113, offensive guard Jalen Farmer from Kentucky. That's a good pick because they lost an offensive lineman in free agency. And then 214th, kind of a steal, edge Caden Curry from Ohio State. But we had many steals in this draft. Next, the Titans, A-. 4th, they took Carnell Tate, great pick. And 60th, they took a linebacker out of Texas, Anthony Hill Jr. I love that pick. We have the Broncos, who got a B just because, they didn't have many picks and, early picks. And it's hard for me to find ways for this team to get better. So that's why I'm giving them B. I like the defensive tackle pick at 66. Then at 108, running back Jonah Coleman. They traded the 30th pick for Jalen Waddle, so it's understandable. That may be a portion of how they get better. Chargers get a B. They took an edge, 22nd. Offensive lineman, 63rd. Another offensive lineman at 117. Maybe they'll have a healthy offensive line, but this is Justin Herbert's last excuse at this point. The Chiefs, I'm giving them a B+. They picked the top corner at number 6. They got a defensive tackle in Peter Woods at 29. They got R. Mason Thomas out of Oklahoma. I love that pick at number 40. And another corner at 109, which is important because they lost a lot of their corners. But why did they trade behind with Cleveland? They just wasted a couple late round picks when Cleveland wasn't taking Delane. Washington wasn't doing that either, and neither were the Saints. So there wasn't really a reason to do that. Next is the Raiders. They get an A. Fernando Mendoza, that was the only correct pick they could have made. 38, they took Traden Stukes for defense, and then offensive protection at 91. They should protect Mendoza or Kirk Cousins. I don't know. The Eagles get a B+, taking Mekhi Lemon at 20. They stole him from the Steelers. The Steelers were calling him, and then the Eagles just went and took him. A.J. Brown trade has basically been confirmed because they picked him and tight end Eli Stowers. The Cowboys, they get an A. They fleeced the Dolphins. They got Caleb Downs, steal of the first round at 11. They took an edge, Malachi Lawrence, at 23. Cowboys, day one winners, but they weren't winners of the other days. I don't know. Commanders at a B+. Sonny Styles, I like it. Antonio Williams, same thing. But what did they do to get better? This is a thing that I'm going to look at. They didn't really get better. They only had 6 draft picks, so they didn't really make an impact. That's why their grade isn't an A-. Giants get an A. They took Arvell Reese at linebacker and edge at 5. Francis Mauigoa at 10. Colton Hood at 37. Malachi Fields at 74. They traded some late round picks so they could get Fields, but I understand it. He's a great wide receiver, talented. I like the Giants draft. The Bears got Dylan Thiedman at 25. They got a center, Logan Jones, at 57. Maybe this should help protect Caleb Williams. I think a steal was at 124 when they took Malik Muhammad at corner. The Packers, I'm giving them a B+. They took Brandon Cease at 52. They took Chris McClellan at 77. I like it. Just they need to make sure they stay healthy. The Vikings get a B-. At 18, they took Caleb Banks. 51, they took Jake Golday. 82, Dominique Orange. I don't really think they had a good day too. Lions get an A. They filled in gaps. They took Blake Miller after losing Taylor Decker, Chris McClellan, and then they got Jimmy Rolder after losing Alex Anzalone. Next, I have Carolina with an A-. At 19, they took Monroe Freeling. 49, Lee Hunter. 83, Chris Brazzell. They'll definitely be trending up. I think they should have a bright future. Falcons get a B-. They didn't pick many good players, so Alvin Terrell and Zachariah Branch, I like that pick. so maybe it's more like a B. Buccaneers nailed the draft again. They get an A. Ruben Maine at 15 was a steal. 46, Josiah Trotter, and 84, Ted Hurst. Ruben Maine, awesome pick. Saints get a B+. Jordan Tyson at 8, I love it. Kristen Miller at 42, and then Oscar Delp at 73 when their tight end, Juwan Johnson. Seahawks at B+, 32, Jadarian Price, 64, Bud Clark, 99, Julian Neal. Just because a lot of talent was already off the board when it was their turn to pick. I like the picks they made. Maybe Jadarian Price will go along with Zach Charbonnet after Kenneth Walker left. Rams, C+. What are you doing? Why'd they pick Ty Simpson? He's not going to play at all for the next 2 years. And I just don't get it. Why not wait till there's a better quarterback out there for you to pick? Max Clear at 61, I liked that. Just that Ty Simpson pick was awful. 49ers get an A. They took DeJon Stribling at 33. They got an edge at 70. Kalen Black at 90. I like what they did. And then the Cardinals. Terrible draft by the Cardinals. Jeremiah Love at 3. They tried to make a big splash. That pick alone might be a D- or an F. Like, that's not why they were bad. They had an opportunity to take everybody but Fernando Mendoza and David Bailey. They could have gotten Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese. They could have done better than what they did, and they just made a bad pick. They already have James Conner. Who knows what's happening with him? He's coming off a torn ACL, and they've got whatever that Falcons guy is, Tyler Algier. They have Tyler Algier under contract as well. So they already have running backs. They had a good rest of the draft, like Chase Bisontis, a guard, Carson Beck, a quarterback. I don't know why you do that when we all know they're going to tank and then pick a quarterback next season anyway. Anyway, we know that this draft was a busy one. Next year's draft class might be more loaded at QB, but we'll see. Thank you so much for watching. I will be posting my NFL season predictions in a couple of weeks. See you later.